Okay, very good. I'm going to share my screen. Alrighty. So, welcome. Thank you for inviting us to participate, Caitlin, and to the folks at the IIIF organization. And thanks to everyone who has joined us and will be joining us as we move through this workshop. My name is Jamie Folsom. I'm with Performance Software. I'm joined by Anandita Semperi and by Rainer Simon, who are both more expert than I with Recogito Studio in various ways. And we are very pleased to present a workshop on Recogito Studio, which is a new piece of software that we have had the pleasure of working on and building together with a number of partners, and I'll get to who those partners are shortly. So before I start, I'll just say this is a hands-on workshop. The idea is to get you up and running with Recogito Studio. So you'll be logging in using the software. Anandita will be taking us through some activities. So you'll get a pretty good sense of what it's capable of. Certainly the focus for today is on IIIF images and manifests, but is capable of annotating other kinds of documents as well, and you'll see some of that in today's workshop. So I'll be giving just a quick overview, a quick introduction, and then I'll be handing it off to Anandita, who will lead us through most of this session. So what is Recogito Studio? Recogito Studio is a piece of software that, as I mentioned, is designed for annotation mostly in the classroom. We have partnered with the University of Bonn in Germany to build this tool for their purposes, but it has since been adopted by a number of other organizations, a number of other institutions, and they are using it mostly for teaching, but increasingly frequently for research as well of various kinds. It has very good support for IIIF images and manifests, also for TEI and XML and for PDF documents, and it's designed to be easy to use, very private, and to have support for real-time collaboration. This tool is based on or draws inspiration from a number of tools that preceded it and others that are out there still. Both Annotation Studio, which is a tool that I was part of the development team for, and the original Recogito platform, which Rainer was the lead developer on, contributed ideas and features to this platform. So we borrowed from those tools in designing and selecting features for this one. Oops. There we go. So as I mentioned in my lightning talk yesterday, and apologies if you saw this, if you were part of that conversation as well, but I'll just quickly breeze through this. Focused on the classroom, intended to make it easy for instructors to create projects, add documents and users, and allow them to collaborate with one another, to give them small groups in the form of assignments where they can work in a semi-private space, and to let them both respond to one another through replies and also see layers of annotation from other assignments and other groups. Has good support for IIIF. You can upload an image directly or many images directly to the platform. You can also import a presentation API manifest and use that as a document, and do the same also with TEI and PDF, as I mentioned, and appropriate tools are supplied for those kinds of documents as well. And you're going to get a demo and a walkthrough of the software in just a moment from Rainer, who is the expert on the front end. GDPR, as I mentioned, is built in. That's good support for privacy. There's real-time collaboration, and it's internationalized, so it's translated already into English and German, but also can be further translated into other languages as well, and we intend to do that as time goes on. It's very accessible. We're very proud of our accessibility. We have the ability to allow text selection using the keyboard, which I don't think many other or maybe no other annotation tools can support. And it also works on tablets. So we've made a good effort to be more accessible than tools that have preceded us as well. Version 1.2 is in testing and will soon be released. It's self-hostable. It's released under the AGPL license. We've got a geotagging plugin and infrastructure for further plugins, and SAML authentication is built in as well, or the ability to be integrated with a SAML IDP. We will soon be adding support for IIIF export, for named entity recognition kinds of tasks, for art history collections, which is something that's come up a number of times, and we will have a roadmap, public roadmap soon. I want to just briefly visit one of these sites. So these are our partners and funders. As I mentioned, the University of Bonn is one of the main funders of this. Cove Collective is another organization that has contributed funding. Pelagios, Exeter, and Duke are others who have participated in fundraising and have built features. And we are very much open to this kind of collaboration going forward. If you see features that you want, need in this platform, please do reach out to us at performancesoftware.com or to Reiner at reinersimon.io, and we can discuss those features with you. Something I think differentiates us, and this is a question that came up yesterday in the lightning talk, what differentiates us or this tool from other tools? I think one of the main differentiators is that it is open source and we are actively seeking collaborators. So this is not a thing that Performant owns or Reiner owns. It is a kind of a consortium of partners that are involved in developing this and who are guiding its direction. Before I hand off to Anandita to lead us through the logistics for the workshop, I want to just show you this recogitostudio.org website is what we currently have as a landing page for the project. And on this page, you'll find a way to contact us if you're interested in anything you've seen or in talking with us about possible future features. There's a link to access documentation for self-hosting if you're interested in doing that, doing it for yourself. And there's a link here to a help forum, which has some initial content in it, which we'll be adding to over time. So recogitostudio.org is a good place to start if you're interested in any of those kinds of support or help after the fact. Leave questions for the end, I think, or I think that's probably right. I will be monitoring the chat throughout the session. So if you have questions, if you get stuck, if you have trouble logging in, if you can't find the email that you received to invite you to an account, go ahead and put a message in the chat, and I will do my best to help you. And I think that is all I was going to cover. Anandita, is there anything else I should talk about, or do you want to take over from here?
No, we can jump right in. And I am going to just in terms of logistics for the session, as Jamie said, we are doing a hands-on workshop. And the way that we'll do this is basically that we're going to alternate. So we'll introduce a couple of things to you and then have you try it out, by going into Recogito Studio and trying annotation, trying different types of things. So the first thing is we want to make sure that you have all been able to log in. You should have received an email yesterday, and if you click that email link, you should be able to set a password and access Recogito Studio. And then once you've logged in, please do add your name to the profile so that your annotations aren't anonymous. And it will kind of just bug you. There's a little nag to annoy you until you do fill out your profile information. So you might see a pop-up that's like, please enter a name. If you're unable to log in, or if the link expired or something, it's good for 24 hours. You can go directly to the site that's listed here, and performant.recogito.studio and click on username and password, and just hit forgot password. Your password, you have an account already in there, your email has been added. So yeah, and then Jamie is monitoring the chat as mentioned. So if you're having trouble accessing it, just let us know in the chat. We want to make sure that you are in there. Okay, terrific. And I see that people are using that. All right, so let's take a minute, make sure that people are logged in. And when you are logged in, you should see a screen that looks like this. I'm going to share one more page with you. So you'll see a page. It's probably going to be blank. There are going to be no projects, but you will see that there might be some projects that are shared with you or public projects. So here we are. All right. Is everybody in? Is there anybody who is not in yet? Okay, cool. Not yet. Okay, Vanessa's still getting in. Great.
Folks can continue to try to log in. Reiner's going to give us a presentation, a demo of the software so you know what it does. But let me know in the chat if you're still not in and I'll give you a hand.
And I am also going to drop a link to the presentation so that you can follow along and you have all of the links that I'm mentioning. So you can just click on things instead of having to try to type it in from the screen. All right, great. So I'm going to pass it over to Reiner, who is going to show us how to do some of the annotations, import manifests and things. Please do follow along because right after he speaks, we're going to do this together.
Right, thanks. Yeah, so I'm going to give you an overview mostly of the annotation interface. I think we're also going to cover some of the other parts of the interface for setting up projects and for creating assignments for students later on if there's time. But for now, I'll first share my screen and we'll show you how to use the basics. So you should see my screen. Just get my windows organized. Right. So yeah, you will have a similar empty screen. In my case, I will just create a new project so that I can show you, yeah, I can upload a IIIF manifest without breaking any details prepared classroom session. So I create a new project. We will go over the details of this later on. So what the different types of projects mean. So just going to create one with assignments. And so this is the screen you'll probably be spending most of the time when you prepare a project. So this is where you organize your uploads. I think maybe if there's time, we can also look at the other document types, but for now we are going to focus on IIIF, obviously. So you have this add document button here, which opens the document library. So documents in Recogito are basically a global resource. So you can create collections that everybody can access. However, you can mark documents in there as private as well. So it's kind of a mixed model where you have your own private documents, but you can also share and reuse. The import document button down here will give you the option to either upload files or import directly from a manifest. And that's what we will be doing just now. So let's say this is my favorite kind of testing site, the Digital Bodleian. So let's look for something that we will also, I think, then be using later on in the test sessions. That's a manuscript of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And let's grab the IIIF manifest. So I'm copying the URL, going back to the interface. And in this case, so I pick the option to import from the IIIF manifest. I paste the manifest. What happens is it goes to fetch the manifest. It does quick validation to check whether it's valid. So in this case, we see, okay, it's a valid manifest, IIIF presentation API v2. Click OK. And it's already imported. So you can see it here. Oh, that was actually a little bit too quick. Yeah. So you can see it here with the thumbnail, which is either the first page of the manifest or whatever is used as the thumbnail property in the IIIF manifest. So I've already clicked it. I've already opened it. So this is your main annotation interface. It's pretty much does simple things, I would say. So you have a toolbar up here. The most important parts are the drawing tools. Currently, we only have two of them. So there's a rectangle drawing tool and a polygon drawing tool. Important to create an annotation, you have to click once and then release the mouse. And then you're sort of in drawing mode. If you hold down, you can still drag. the image, but you have to click once to start, click another time to complete the annotation, and then you get this little pop-up here, and you can start typing text comments. And you can also add tags. So this is a free vocabulary. Let's say it's Mary Shelley, let's say Gothic, whatever. The vocabulary is free. There are options, but I think that's more advanced topics. So there are ways to pre-configure vocabularies. There are also ways to attach colors to different tags so that you can, you might want to have a set of 3 tags in 3 colors that you define. But in principle, you're totally free to type and use tags however you want. Maybe let's just try a polygon again. You click once to start the polygon. You click briefly to create and add a new point, and you go back to the first initial point and click there to create a polygon annotation. Sorry, Zoom keeps popping windows in there. So, right, what else? Yeah, maybe you've already, sorry, it's unintentional. So if you want to create, if you want to select an existing annotations, always make sure that you are in this mode here, the kind of the mode where you can just navigate the image and select an annotation. So let's select an existing one. One thing you'll see here is that you can write replies. So every annotation is its own little discussion thread, if you want. But also one thing I wanted to show, maybe let's edit the existing one here. So up here, you can see that you can, you can not only write text, but you can also add links. So let's say in this. So you can do this. You can also do the same thing if you already select a piece of text and then enter a link, then you will get a clickable text. And actually, I think if you just type out a link, it might also auto. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, but so you can create either links, sort of verbatim here, or you can add a link like this. And then it will be, once you save it, this is going to be a clickable link. More interesting, maybe. You can also add images and videos. At the moment, you can't upload anything, so you have to link something that already on the web. Let's maybe do this with a new annotation. So let's say an image. Let's search. I already searched for Mary Shelley. Maybe you want to attach a link to an image of her. In this case, copy the image link. And it will get added to the annotation. And the same thing is true for YouTube videos. So you get the kind of typical YouTube embed, which allows you to play the video directly in the annotation or go to YouTube or use it in full screen and so on. Right. What else? So we don't have geotags, I think, in here. No, we don't. Yeah, so maybe that's something we can look at afterwards. So there are also plugins, as Anindita has already announced. So we currently have only one plugin available, which allows you to add georeferences, which might be interesting, in texts that I mention places, but also if you annotate historical maps or whatever. So that's something that's coming and which would be available as an extension. And we hope that additional plugins would come for other kinds of different use cases. So if you have any ideas or any needs or requirements, then please definitely do get in touch with us. Another thing that just occurred to me that's interesting. So when you have an annotation, every annotation has a unique link. So you can directly link to every annotation in Recogito Studio. And you can, you could just copy the URL from the browser bar, but for convenience, there's also this little menu option here, which says copy link to annotation. So this is now copied to the clipboard. And if you This takes a while to load. If you create a new annotation with a link and you paste a link to an annotation on Recogito, it will kind of detect that it's an internal link and it will create this little shortcode here. So this is now a link inside the Recogito platform. And if I open it, it's clickable and it should hopefully take me back to this exact annotation that I've linked to. So that's a way to create kind of connections between annotations in the system. I'm now just to say that now I've created a link within the same document, but of course, this works across the whole platform, so you can link between different documents. Okay, what else didn't we cover yet? So maybe for convenience, up here in the toolbar, you have this little messages icon. So in addition to using the pop-ups for the annotation, you also get this little sidebar, which is very often more convenient to use, where you can see what annotations are on the current page. So this is just the current page, I think, or is it everything?
Hey, Reiner, I just realized something. I think when you created the project, you didn't install the Geo plugin. So it is on the
that's the reason. Yeah, I was confused. I was trying to play with. Okay, yeah, okay. We'll cover that just after that. So yeah,
totally
so the sidebar. Maybe something that you also notice here is the Notes tab. So that's a different tab. So Notes are kind of a hybrid between annotations and chat. People wanted to have something that's chat-like. So essentially, it's an annotation, not a chat message, but it's an annotation that's not linked to a specific area on the document, or for text documents, it's not linked to a paragraph. So it is an annotation for the document as a whole. You can say something about the whole document, or you can use it in more like a chat fashion when you want to speak to your collaborators while you're annotating a document. And another thing I haven't covered at all yet is the left sidebar here. So we have, in addition to the pages, thumbnail strip, we also have this filters panel here. I guess I have to create a few more annotations to make this useful with different tags. Let's just at least take another tag. So not particularly creative here. And you can also see it remembers the tags that you've already used, and you get drop downs for these tags. This also makes it easier to be more consistent in the tagging and avoid spelling errors when you're using a tagging vocabulary. Right. And another thing, yeah, let's just go over the filters briefly. So the filters just allow you to control the visibility of the annotations by different criteria. The simplest thing, of course, is to say, I just want to see only the image and just hide the annotations. But there's more. So you can filter by the contributor. In this case, I'm the only contributor, but you can use this after on when you try working together with your colleagues. So in this case, I'm filtering just my annotations, doesn't change anything. But down here, I can also change the visibility by tag. So let's say I only want to see my Gothic or my tag C. And I think, yeah, so this is one that's tagged with, oops, very good, very good. Thank you, Anindita. You can see Anindita has created an annotation here. So now I can demo the filtering. Oh, that's interesting. That was, yeah. So now I can demo. So that's Anindita's annotation. And these are my annotations. Another thing here, it says we can filter by public and private annotations. I think that's a really nice feature about Recogito. So there is a way to create annotations that are completely private. In general, there's a pretty sophisticated management system for privacy and who gets to see what. But in addition to the group privacy management, there's also the way to create annotations that are totally private only to you. Even if you're in a public project, if you create a private annotation, no one else can see it, and you can use it to make either personal notes or another use case, which I think is nice. You could afterwards make an annotation public. So it's more like in the draft mode, right? You're working in draft mode first, maybe, and then when you're ready to publish the annotation to everyone in the room, you make it public, and that's it. The last thing I left out, I think, is this here, color coding. So you can use pretty much the same categories as for the filtering. You can also use for color coding. So let's say, let's say I want to see different colors for creator. You can see here the red ones. That's me. The blue annotation is from Anindita. If you happen to have the annotations panel open, you will see those little lines here at the side, which also will always correspond to the color of whoever created the annotation. A different thing, maybe also by tag. So this will only use the first tag. And maybe I want to see different tags, but only from annotations that I have created. So you can combine these things. Right, I think that's pretty much it. Maybe let's just quickly go back and enable the geotagging plugin. So plugins are a concept which works on the project level. So essentially the way it works is that the system administrator installs the plugin into the instance. And once it's on the Recogito instance, in this case, it's our perform and demo instance, you have it available in kind of like a plugin app store kind of setting. In this case, the app store only has one app. But let's say I'm going to the project settings, and there's a little tab here that says plugins. Okay, interesting. There should be a preview image. And I thought that was fixed, but maybe not in this instance yet. But anyway, so I've installed the GeoTagger plugin. Maybe there's a little bit more time to talk a bit more what it does, but let's just say I want to tag places with references to Wikidata. So now I've configured the plugin that it would use Wikidata as its data source. There are different ways to use custom data sources or upload your own data source, actually. But just for the sake of the demo, let's just briefly configure it for Wikidata. Let's enter the document again. I don't think we will have any places that I can read in here. Ingolstadt would probably be one that would be mentioned. It's not. Okay, sorry, there's something blocked at the moment. Let's see if the plugin's there. Okay, so yeah, the plugin's there. So what the plugin does in this case, as you can see, is it adds this little field down here, which says add geotag. And if you click it, you can add a search, and that will go against Wikidata. If you find the match, you can refine it. You can also see the different options mapped. You can pick one, and then this piece of information becomes part of the annotation. You can see it in the sidebar. And it's going to be added when you export your annotations. Right. I think that's an overview of pretty much the full feature set. And indeed, Jamie, any thoughts whether there's anything else I should mention?
There was a question in the chat for you from Arnaud about how annotations are stored. Are they stored in a special format, web annotation? I said, not so much stored as web annotation, but maybe you want to speak to that.
Yeah, well, they are not 100% web annotation-like because we need to keep things separate because of the real-time thing. So you could imagine it as a web annotation that's kind of spread out so that the annotation targets are in one place, the annotation bodies, and there's kind of the wrapper. So it's very web annotation-like internally. However, when you get the annotations out of the system, there is a way to get them out as web annotation, although that's kind of a very light crosswalk. But all the internal kind of metaphors are the same. So we use annotation bodies for everything, for example. We use the same kinds of targets for describing the shapes. So it's pretty much web annotation compatible throughout the stack.
And I have one more feature request, which is, do we do deep linking?
Pardon?
Did we do the deep linking yet?
The deep linking works.
Yeah.
Do you mean the linking
Did we
between
show
the...
it? Yeah, the direct links between annotations.
Yes.
Ah, sorry, I
So
was probably on the chat looking at that.
let's see. So something's off with my permissions here, I think. Right, so let's pick this annotation link. And then if you use it in a new annotation, it will create this deep link. And that goes across the system. So you can link throughout. I mean, you can link anywhere. You could also link to different Recogito instances, but the nice formatting would only work in the same instance. So because it notices kind of links on its own systems.
All right, cool. Thank you, Rainer. And are there any other questions in the chat before we dive in and do this ourselves?
There was one potential bug that we'll look into from Arnaud. See if we can reproduce it when we get to the activity, but maybe we should go ahead with the activity and then I can troubleshoot that with Arnaud as well.
Sounds good. All right. So just to make sure that everybody is logged in now, what I would like you to do is, let me grab this window. When you log in, you're going to have this kind of project dashboard, and you'll see that there are three sections. My projects, this is where you'll see projects that you've created. Shared with me are projects that you might have been invited to that you have joined. And then there's a tab called public projects. And these are projects that are called open. Anyone who is on the instance can join these projects. So what I'd like you to do is go to public projects and join the sandbox project. So this is just a place where we can play around and try things out. So it says this project allows all users to become members. Would you like to join? Yes, I would. Oh no, what just happened? Now I can't join it. I think it might be because I left it earlier. I'm going to switch to the other one.
If you're the owner, you may not be able to join. Remember, there's yeah, I can try.
You can try it. All right. Well, this is a sandbox project. And then from here, you'll see that I've kind of pre-populated it with a number of different IIIF manifests. What I'd like everybody to do is go into the Bodleian Library manuscript, which is the one that Rainer was just showing, but a different version of it. So this doesn't have Rainer's annotations. And to just go in here and to try to annotate basically different pages. And I see some people are already in here, which is fantastic. There's an anonymous genealogist. And then, and I can see also that you are going through the instruction that I've given you for these kind of projects. So you've opened it, annotate a page of your choice. And do we have multiple people annotating right now? So what you can see is you can see where people are annotating. There's this little dot here. So we can see kind of the activities that are happening or what pages people are on where they're annotating as they're doing it. So you get the sense of like what people are working on at the same time. You have others in here annotating, and let's see what people are doing. Oh, I see. Trip is on this page. That's really cool. Great. So now as you're starting to put in these annotations, you've got a sense of how to do it here. Let's go in and make these a little bit more complex. So when you're putting in an annotation, you'll see that in the top right corner, there are the URL, image, and YouTube icons. So what I'd like you to try to do is to make annotations that use these different things. And you're going to use links for all of them. So an image, text. For text, it's a little bit different. You need to highlight the text and then add the link. Whereas for the image and the video, you just enter the image and the video and it'll be added to the comment, to the annotation. Also, see if you can reply to somebody else's annotation. So I'm going to go in here. Are these shelf marks, page numbers, dates? Great questions. It works, fantastic. So I see some responses here. And then let's start to get into some of these. And if you want to pick, maybe like the first 4 pages or so that it's easier to find each other's, maybe not the first 4, the first 5, so that it's easier to find each other's annotations and we're not on random pages now, that would be terrific. And if you have questions, feel free to just ask or to enter it into the chat. Oh, this is terrific. Okay, just a test annotation. I'm going to see if I can find a. Okay, great. And then also try doing these deep links. So copy a link to an annotation, see what happens if you open it in a new browser. You can also reply to an annotation with a link to a different annotation. And you are welcome at this point to go to any manuscript here, or any image, any IIIF document. So the sandbox is open for you to play with. So if there's anything in here that you want to annotate, just take some time to get comfortable with the tools. And any questions or feedback as you're doing this?
There's a question about sorting of annotations. Arnaud asked whether it's possible to sort annotations. I think the intention was in the sidebar. Pretty sure that annotations are ordered by position in the document. Reiner, is that correct?
So no, that's only the case for text documents. For the images, it's just chronological.
Chronological, okay.
And then I see a question from Trip. There's some lag on browser interactions. It could be that this is a full manuscript. It's a pretty large IIIF, so that might be what's causing the lag. But in general, it is network speed. I see a lot of activity on this page. New annotation. Good.
Reiner, how does this work with particularly long manifests like this one? Do we load the whole manifest, but we only load images as needed? Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So the whole manifest gets loaded once, but if you scroll down, so the thumbnail bar only loads what it needs. It does, so the annotation loading happens again when you change the page, so that might also introduce a little bit of lag, but everything else is, yeah, it's network speed.
All right, I don't see any images or links or videos yet. Has anyone been able to do this? Have you tried it? So I see. Cool, I see one annotation being dragged around. Oh, there, Cecile, bravo. That's fantastic. I see a link from Trip. I'm going to click that. Oh, fantastic. I love it. Has anyone tried tags? Let's see if we have anything. Okay, so we've got the 2 of us on this page. What other pages do we have? Let's see what we can filter out and see. Oh, good activity here. Jamie, I see you. No, Trip, you should be able to get links to other people's annotations. So if you can't, that is a bug that you have found. Reiner, do you want to take a look at that?
Actually, I think, so depending, Trip, on how you're trying to do it, you can only, if I'm not mistaken, you can only get the link to the annotation when the sidebar is closed. There's the 3-dot menu on the annotation editor that you can only see when it's a pop-up. Is that right, Reiner?
Good question. So that's not how
Oh
it's
no, I'm wrong.
supposed to be.
Yeah,
So
Just
it
a
looks like it's
second.
not working in the pop-up, but it is working in the sidebar.
I had it in reverse. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So remember we talked about this because before we had the linking feature, all the options in the 3-dot menu were options for the creator of the annotation. So we haven't. So we talked about that once we have this feature to copy the link to the annotations, we actually have to enable the menu for everyone, and we haven't done that yet. So that's a good point that you're bringing that up. That sort of fell off our radar, I think.
Yeah, I
But I
just
mean,
made a
at
note.
worst, yeah, definitely create an issue for that. I mean, as a fallback, you can always just copy the URL from the browser URL bar, but that's not the convenient way, and that's not how it should be. But yeah, thanks for bringing it up.
Oh, look at this. This is great. More images. Has anyone gotten a video to work yet? And as you can see, if you got a video to work, you can just stick it in the chat and we can go straight to your annotation.
I haven't been able to get an image to work.
Okay. So what, so the images have to be URLs. So it's not uploading an image directly. So we'll need to get a link to an image. Do you have a link that you're trying to put in?
Yeah, I just tried just a couple on Wikipedia. Like here's one I just tried.
All right, let's try this out. I'm gonna open this up. Copy image address. All right, now let's come here and we'll do an annotation and see what happens. Of course, I have too many Zoom windows open right now. Let's try that. Okay, so that's there, and now I'm going to hit enter. Did I do something different from what you did?
No, that's what I did. It just shows like a broken image icon when I do that.
I wonder if the server you got your image from isn't allowing loading off from another domain.
Yeah, let's see. When I copied that, it is a different link than what is up here.
Oh, okay. That's probably it then.
So I just copied the image address and not
Okay.
that. So that's what the difference is.
Okay, let me try that. Yeah.
I'm glad you asked. Anyone else with questions or running into some issues? And if not, as you can keep playing with this, annotate any images that you like, and I'll start to talk through a couple of other things in the meantime about some use cases. Yeah.
There is a question from Arnaud. The project creator was able to edit others' annotations.
No, I am logged in as an administrator, so I have superpowers. The project admin can. Actually, Reiner, correct me. I think the project admin can't delete other people's annotations. Is that right? It's only the administrator of the entire instance who can do that.
I would have to double check, but I think the project administrator also has those permissions in
within
that
the project.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you can do the moderation for a course.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the intention, that the project administrator would usually be a professor, and they might be able to moderate other people's comments. And student level access means you cannot do anything about other people's comments or annotations.
Arnaud also asked if it's possible to, is it logged, basically what changes have been made? I think we probably know who it is, but we don't have a way to show you who did what quite yet. Yeah. Chip says he would want a project admin to be able to do that. If it's not already that way, misuse and accidents are inevitable, right? So yeah. Project admins, yeah.
Yeah, I think project admins have that power, and instance admins have that power, but students do not have that power, so that they can't affect each other's annotations. Okay, so this actually, Trip just provided a perfect segue into the next section, which is to talk about the different use cases for how we might use Recogito Studio. And this will get into the different project types as well. So the first way that people have been using Recogito Studio is just collaboration. So if you have scholarly collaboration, you're working with other scholars in your domain and you want to work together. So you might be annotating a document, like annotating documents, doing close reading, doing analysis together. You might be doing the same thing with images. And when we create these projects, you can see when Reiner created a project before, it had documents and assignments. This one only has documents. Everyone can write on everything. Everyone has access to everything at the same time. And I'll show you how I created this, which is just, it is, when you create a project, you set the name, you set the description, and then there are these fields called project visibility and project type. Private versus public determines who can access it. So the sandbox was public; anyone could join that. This one is private, so I would have to invite you to the project for you to be able to join it. And then there are two project types. This is single team; it's one team working on all of the documents in it. Or you can create a project that has assignments. So basically, as an instructor, you would put all of the documents inside of it, and then you would decide when people see which documents. Like, I'm going to create an assignment and I'm going to assign it to this group of people. So that's kind of the main thing for how to create the different types of projects. Now I'm going to go back to collaboration. And look at the team. And you can see I invited everybody to this. And I see that some of you have joined it. And you can see also that I'm the project owner and the rest of you are students. So this is going to change what people can do. So you can add annotations, but you cannot delete other people's annotations or edit them. That's something that only I would have the ability to do here. Other things here. So there's a number of people who are invited. You can also, so you can invite people individually. You can invite people in a group. You can also create a link to a project and give it to people. And then students can basically request to join that project. So I'm going to do that with the other, this one I invited people to. But I'm going to do this for the rest of you for the sample course. I'm going to go to team here. I'm going to copy this link and put it into the chat. And if you click that link, you should then basically like send a request to join this project, and I'll get a notification that you have tried to join it. So we can kind of work on that. Now, okay. So let's go into this collaborative project. If people want to join me over here, you can see that one thing also is when you click on annotations, you end up going to those different, to the annotations themselves. It's a little bit hard to see this annotation against the color of it. But if we were all to join on here, we would all basically be able to annotate this together. Yes, wonderful. So I see Achno has been very busy here. Fantastic. And I can go straight to these annotations. You will not be able to do this in the other project because it's set up in a completely different way. So here I see a notification here. 3 people have requested to join this team. I'm going to accept all of you. Accept, accept, accept. Now, we've got documents. This is everything that I've put into this project. And we've got assignments. And I have already set this up to have 2 different projects, 2 different assignments. And I can add people to these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this assignment. And I have all of these people I can now add to this team. Now, what I'd like you to do is go into the sample course. Initially, you should have had a blank assignments page. Now you should have an assignment that has just Rio de Janeiro in it. And we'll pick this image here where I've already seeded a few annotations, and I'll show you a couple of more things about this. Now in this image, you can see that there are a couple of different things happening here. You've got one annotation that is outlined, and we've got a couple of annotations here that are in a different color. This is because we can create different layers for the annotations. There's a read-only layer, and there is an active layer. And all of you right now are in the active layer. You're in the assignment, you are annotating it. And if you look in the sidebar, we'll encounter the same thing, which is that, you know, there's one annotation here that is gray, and the rest of them are in, you know, they have a white background. And this is showing you the difference between what is read-only versus what is happening right now in this document. So if you were to annotate it, your annotations would all be, would have the white background. And then these are the ones that I kind of set beforehand. So I'm going to show you coming back here. The base layer is basically any annotation that you put on this layer can be added as a read-only layer to other assignments. So here I can see in outline the annotations from the other from the assignment, but this is where I can add an annotation and say something that'll appear on the other one as a read-only layer. So if I want to do this and just say I'm going to say stamp. And now when we switch over to the other layer, we'll see it appear here as a read-only thing that cannot be edited or interacted with in any other way. All right, so this is kind of the two different modes of working with Recogito. One is collaborative, kind of open, everyone can annotate everything. The other is more kind of controlled, in which you can set different layers. You can say, these students are going to see these documents, whereas the instructor can, you know, create instructions, do other things, and set up some questions or set up some notes for students to look at separately. So another document that I worked on, you can see it's like the professor put in a number of comments. This one has a good set of geotags on it. And then, you know, some background information, and then students can interact here. Questions about this? Questions about how these different assignments or different use cases might work?
Anandita, I have a question.
Yes.
Did you say you put some of us in each of these different assignments?
I haven't added anyone. I haven't added anyone to Wedding Feast yet. Do you want me to put different people in different assignments?
Might be interesting. I was watching while you put that read-only annotation in a different layer, and you see that in real time in the active layer that you're in. So that's kind of an interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and you can always see kind of like who's in the different assignments. I'm going to come up to team and see if there's anyone else here that I need to add. Oh no, accept you. There we go.
And so to get, let's suppose that one person was in two assignments. Would they have to go back out to the project and come back in through the assignment that like a different assignment?
Sorry, what was that?
Did you put different groups of people in different assignments? Would they have to go back out to the project page to enter through the assignment you put them in?
Yes. Yep. Okay. So I think I have people in different assignments. I have Maximilian, Cecile, and Vanessa in the Wedding Feast, it looks like. Is that the one? Yes. And you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to add some base layers and add some annotations here. Great. And then for Rio de Janeiro, let's do this. Okay, so everyone should be in an assignment, I believe. And let's put in if people want to go in and try it out as well, you can definitely go in and try to annotate and see what happens. All right. So in terms of the projects now, let's get into some of the trickier things for an activity, which is that I want you to create a project of your own. So to do this, what you need to do is go back to projects. You've seen these, and you're just going to come into new project. Let's not all do test, maybe name it after yourself. So we know it's like, Cecile's project, Akno's project, whoever it is, or do something that, that will make it easier for us to find you. And once you create the project, for now, you can do what you like. If you want to do private, public, just create the project how you like. I would like you to try to add a IIIF. Okay, Kirk, I'm going to try to make sure that you are added to one. What I would like you to do is add a IIIF manifest to your project. So these are two possible sources of manifests, the Bodleian and the Getty. All have manifests that you can kind of get into and grab the IIIF link and import a manifest that way. So, okay, I'm going to come in here. And if you're having trouble doing this, please just pop into the chat or just speak up. So I'm going to come in here and make sure, Trip, that you're in one of these. All right, Trip, try again, and let's make sure that you're in here. And for everybody else, let's do the digital Bodleian or the Getty. And for these, if you're going into the manuscripts, perfect, thank you. For the Bodleian, the manifest link is up here. If you click View Manifest, you can just copy and paste this. That's what you want to grab. And for the Getty, Museum, is this the one? When you go in to the Getty, you can find the links at the bottom. They have a little section where it says IIIF manifest link, and you can just hit the copy button. So at the bottom here, and for the Bodleian, it's through this drop down. I'm going to come over here and see how it's going. Since I'm an admin. Ah, cool. I see some projects being created. Wonderful. And are you getting some manifests added? So when you're going in here, the way that you would add a manifest is add document, import document, and from the manifest. And this is where you'll copy the URL. So once again, you're going to go to add document, import document, and grab it from the manifest. You can also, if you would like, upload something from your own computer. You could use a PDF, an image. There are a lot of different formats that are supported, but for the purposes of this workshop, we're focusing on IIIF.
And Reiner, can you remind us, does this support both Presentation API version 2 and version 3, or is it just version 3?
Yes, it's both versions, and it's the Presentation API, but also the image API. So if you have a single image with this kind of info JSON link, that will also work as an import format.
All right, and now as you're adding these manifests to it, once you have a manifest in there, see if you can annotate it using whatever annotations you like. And for the add annotations to your document, and then I'm going to ask you to invite people to your project and to try to join someone else's. So we're going to get really complicated here. You're going to have to go back to your dashboard and check your notifications. So workshop leaders, you can invite us using our email addresses. So I'm going to put mine in the chat. It's just ananita@performancesoftware.com. Jamie and Reiner, if you want to add yours in there as well. So the way to invite somebody to your project, you can go to team, add a user, use the email address, and you can set the access level. Alternately, you could share a join link in the chat and we can click through and send a join request, which you would then approve the way that I was doing before. And the final way of doing this, of course, is that you can make the project open join, and then it'll show up under public projects and we can go through and join any of them. I see Jamie's project.
I'm getting that generic thumbnail as well, that just came up on Jamie's. Is that because if the manifest that you're selecting doesn't specify a thumbnail, you kind of get that generic image?
So my project has a manifest in it that is, yeah, you're seeing it there. That does have images, but on the project page, on the listing pages, it doesn't show that.
Yeah.
Let's see, I'll go back to.
Yeah, like I'm just getting kind of that generic one for thumbnail for the I imported a couple from our manifest.
Interesting. Would you send a link to your project? Is that Cecile? Yeah, there we go.
I think that was Vanessa.
Vanessa,
Yeah,
sorry. Okay, one sec. Let me take a look at yours. Oh, I see. That is the generic. Okay. I was using the Roman de Fauvel for my manifest, and it's an illuminated musical manuscript. I didn't recognize that that was not the actual excerpt. Yeah, good question. Do we know, Reiner, do you know if, do we try to pick a sample image off of the manifest and use that for the thumbnail?
Yeah, it's usually the first image, I think.
Yeah, I thought we do, but maybe it is actually using the thumbnail that's set as the thumbnail property, which sometimes just is set in the manifest. So it might fall back if there is no explicit thumbnail in the manifest.
Okay.
Yeah, so usually it's just the first one. And then, so a lot of the books and things, you'll just see a book cover, like a leather book cover for a manuscript or something. And then from there, we do have placeholders for certain document types. So you can see like the PDF has a specific thing. XML files also, or TEI documents have another one as well, where it's just a standard thumbnail image to tell you the document type. All right, I see Cecile's project. Cool. This is great.
So if it's not defined in the manifest, it'll just use the generic one rather than pulling the first image you're saying? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All right, great. There are some more questions in the chat. So I see, yes. Looks like I can't, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's not possible to add polygons at the moment. Hopefully it will come, just having the ability to add points and also delete them from the polygon.
All right. And then now we're going to get into the challenge round. So you've got your projects, you've got the basics. Now, hopefully you have a few people who are in your projects, and I want you to go into the project settings. So when you're in your project, you're going to come up here to settings, and you're going to change your project visibility to private and assignments. So if it's not already set up like that, we're going to convert your project type. And then I want you to save and return to your project. And then let's see if we can do a little bit of work with layers. So what you'll do from here is come back to your course. Hopefully. Let's see if I can close a few tabs out because I have so many things going. All right, so you should have two tabs now, documents and assignments. And I'd like you to create a new assignment. You have to name it, so I'm just going to call this new assignment. Trying to create my first assignment. Documents, whatever you would like to include. I'm just going to have the same one that I was using before. And I'm going to include the base assignment so that I have one layer that I can edit as the admin, and then one layer that the people who join can use. And in my team, I'm going to just add everyone to mine. And then create the assignment. So let's see if we can do this and get some people into each other's work and into each other's projects. It's kind of like the big challenge of the day.
And should people see invitations, like notifications show up on their profile when this happens? Yeah,
So,
there they are.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you are invited to a project or something, you will be there. But if you are added to something, you're already a member and you're in there, you can just go into the assignment and then see, you can go into the project and see if you have an assignment there.
I don't see the button to add a new assignment under sample course.
So, oh, you're going to do it in your own course.
Oh,
so you need to
okay.
change. Sorry, yeah, that's a really good question. You can't do it because you're not an admin for this. So what you need to do is the project that you created, and I'll run through that step again. When you created a project, I think you have it, whatever settings you have, go into the settings and change it to private and assignments. And then once it's private and assignments, you'll be able to create a project. All right, here's a join request. Jamie, do you want to try to join this one? Since I'm logged in as an admin, it's kind of, I'm a member of everything.
Sure. Wait, which one?
The one in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
So I can see
sure.
the base layer because I am an admin, so it's not fair.
All right, I click the link, go to project.
And we can see, yeah, because I'm in here already. But oh, it looks like Cecile got an invitation. So Trip, you can go in and accept that. And then keep going with the process. So this is great. Really nice. And you can see the notifications up here as people are sending requests to join the team. Others, how's it going? Are you stuck anywhere? Is it all right? So we've got a couple of members here. No, looks great. New assignment, fantastic. And you've got people in your team. Others. Cecile looking good. Oh, wow. Terrific. So now, this is the final level, the boss battle. We're going to have you annotate the base layer, put in a couple of things, and then also try to do some annotations in an active layer. So pick one and then pick the other and see what happens with the different types of layers. Okay. Trip, yes, we don't have the, it's not sticky in terms of which tab you're on. So it's not holding on to whichever tab you were on last. Agree. All right, Vanessa sent a join request as well. So if folks want to join her project, so that she can also do some assignments, that'd be great. And what I'm going to suggest is that, let's see, we've got some groups here. Do we have pairs of people at all? Why don't we pick like one document that you would like to, if you have in your, so for example, okay, I'm going to go to Arnaud's project. We've got 2 people in here, and I'm going to ask Arnaud to put some base layer annotations in, and is it Cecile to put in some annotations in the active layer. And let's try that for the project. If you've created a project, put in some base layer annotations. If you're in an assignment, put in some active layer annotations. It doesn't have to be a lot, just like 1 or 2 to experiment with it. And you can get as fancy as you would like, so that if you want to include links, I see Arnaud has both in here already, but if you want to do something like responding, including links to other documents so we can jump between documents and projects, these are things that we can try out. And Jamie and Reiner, you are welcome to annotate other people's work as well.
I'm in Vanessa's project on the newest.
Take a look. Okay, so okay, I see you, Jamie. So this is also nice. You can get people's presence and see where they are, what they're doing. Just check in on some of these projects and see how things are going. And if we're starting to get some annotation layers in here. Okay, great. I see a base layer annotation here. Fantastic. Terrific. And so if I annotate, it's not going to be in response to this. It's going to be a new annotation because it's the active layer. So now we can also do some filtering by who did what. play around a little bit with tags. And if you would like, if we want to get super, super complex, we can also do a little bit with geotagging. So for example, if you are in the sandbox, I think I have geotags enabled in this one. We can do something like, I'm gonna pick this. And we're gonna do, no, that's not working. Hold on a second. Change that. Here we go. So we've got a geotag of this mountain. You can find out information about it on Wikidata. So if you would like to try geotags as well, you can pick anything in Sandbox and try out the geotags there too. So this is Corcovado. Same thing. I'm going to look for Corcovado. Pretty straightforward. I guess it's before the statue was put there. All right. Any questions? Has everyone been able to create their assignment projects and do annotations at the two different layers, or to see annotations at two layers, the active and the read-only ones? Silence. I'm going to assume that people are just working then. All right. So I'm going to open it up to questions and then turn it over to Jamie to talk a little bit about next steps. But are there any questions about annotations, assignments, use cases, how people are using this in the classroom? We've got over 20 universities using this right now. So in a range of use from like art history to a lot of textual scholarship and literary studies, close reading and things. We've also had Recogito used for a conference where people did kind of a hybrid remote conference as well. How many annotations can you display? That's a question for Reiner.
We're still testing it. I mean,
we haven't hit our upper limit. Is that the correct answer?
I mean, in terms of just purely displaying it in the interface, you should have hundreds and even thousands of annotations that should work. There are also issues, of course, in terms of the traffic in the real-time session, the initial download. Yeah, I guess we're finding it out, but I mean, you should be good for several hundreds at least.
No, anytime you want to test, just let us know. Happy to have additional testing. Trip has a question. I don't imagine anyone's incorporated into the LMS like Canvas yet. We have talked about this a lot. It is something that we've been discussing. And as of now, like if you export a class list, you can import, the addresses and things, so you can add a whole class at a time. It's a little bit less, but not in terms of, but we don't have like full integration, so you can't do your grading and things in there yet. Jamie, I don't know if you have more to add about that.
Yes, LMS integration has definitely been requested or asked about. So as I mentioned at the very beginning of the workshop, this has been developed to date really by two primary partners. Primary among the two primary partners is Bonn, University of Bonn, and we did talk with them at the very beginning about LMS integration. They decided not to prioritize that, but to focus more on the tool itself. But I do think that LTI integration would make a lot of sense. I know folks at the University of Texas have mentioned that as a primary consideration for any tool that might be adopted for instruction. So yes, it's on our minds. I would say it's not yet on the roadmap per se, but we're certainly looking for partners. So if you think this looks like something you'd like to use in the classroom, we would be thrilled to build that feature with you and build it to your specs. So.
And then there's a question about annotations can be exported, but did I miss whether they can be imported?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Two answers to that. Yes and no. So for TEI text and for PDF documents, annotations can be, you could bring a document in, annotate it, and then export that document with its annotations. And you could even then bring those documents back in after the fact and see those annotations that were exported inside of Recogito Studio. At that re-imports, whether if they're created outside of Recogito Studio or they're exported from and then re-imported back in, they become a read-only layer. So they're visible, but they're not real annotations from the perspective of Recogito Studio. They're not in the database. They're really flattened into the document. So that's the kind of yes part of the answer. The no part of the answer and the but coming soon, and Reiner and Anandita will laugh because I'm always asking for this. I want this feature. Is that we should be able to do the same with IIIF, annotations on IIIF. It would be really nice if we could bring a manifest in, annotate it, and then create a derivative manifest and take that back out with us. There are some complications there. One way to do that would be to do exactly as we're doing with TEI PDF, which is to flatten the annotations into the manifest itself. So you've got a manifest that contains the annotations, and that can be loaded up elsewhere, assuming the images are hosted elsewhere. Another way to do it would be to have Recogito Studio serve as an annotation server so that the derivative manifest points back to the server, right? And it loads them asynchronously. All of that is sort of just technical, engineering, right? It's not very difficult to imagine doing it. However, given our focus on GDPR and on privacy, we have to think very carefully about how we're telling people who are doing this work whether their annotations are going to be public or not. So there's a bit of UX thinking and sort of privacy thinking to be done before we implement any of those solutions. But I'm very excited to add those features, and we're pretty close. Reiner, you recently said you think we're pretty close technically to having the ability to do that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, some bits and pieces are missing, but there are no showstoppers that are preventing us.
Yeah, great. And then Arnaud is also asking about import of annotations into the database. So again, there it's sort of like, we hope so. Basically, you'd be talking about taking a flattened document, bringing it in, and then having a way to walk through that flattened document and extract the annotations and create new database records from them. Because that's what allows us to do all this fun like replies and geotagging and that sort of thing. So it's certainly possible. It just hasn't been done yet.
I was going to add that we have with the TEI export that we have the possibility of doing like digital critical editions now, and we're working on a viewer so that you can see these outside of Recogito. So if you have like a team of scholars who are working on a document, they create their digital critical edition with their annotations, then we have a workflow for basically then being able to show those in a public venue. So it's basically published on a website inside of a React component. And we've been talking about doing a parallel sort of workflow for IIIF, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And one of the things we're trying to do is whenever we build something like this, that is import or export, we're trying to do it per the spec of the type of document, right? So PDF, for example, Reiner did a lot of work investigating what is the file format involve, require, and so on. Same for TEI. We've got an export function that flattens those annotations into a standoff block in the TEI header, which then has anchors back into the text. So it's not just inlining them, it's actually keeping them separate from the text, which is, we think, the right way to do it. So, yeah. Other questions? Well, maybe I'll talk a little bit about, wait, we've got another question, sorry. Yeah, Trip. We've got accessibility requirements for officially adopting software, WCAG 2.0 level AA. Recogito, is Recogito Studio conformant to that or some functionally equivalent standard? Rainer might be able to respond more specifically than I.
Yeah. So we have not conducted an audit. I think that's kind of the bad news. But in principle, I think we meet pretty much all of the requirements. I mean, things like button labeling, image, alt text, contrast in the user interface. So that's pretty much taken care of. I mean, yeah, as I said, an audit notwithstanding. I think the tricky parts, of course, are the annotation interfaces because it's not trivial to build an annotation interface that's accessible. I think we are in very good shape with the text annotation interface. So pretty much everything works with text, with keyboard navigation, even selecting, if you're using the keyboard, this kind of accessibility selection mode. I think it's called caret browsing. It's fully supported in the text annotation interface, so that's really good. And I think, as Jamie mentioned before, I think we might be the only annotation tool that actually does that. I think the image annotation tool might still need a little bit of work in terms of keyboard navigation of existing annotations. So that's something that's not, may not be a deal breaker with it in terms of just passing the audit, but there is definitely some room for improvement still. But yeah, I mean, it's very much on our minds, and not just because it's, of course, in any university that has those regulations. But yeah, we're working on making this as hopefully the most accessible annotation tool that is out there.
Great question. Thank you, Trip.
And I was going to add, this isn't about accessibility, but we built in tablet functionality as well. So you can annotate on a tablet. And that's been something for really helpful for students because some of them don't have laptops and things, but they do have iPads. So that was another thing that we've been working on.
It's actually when we built the accessibility and the keyboard navigation, the tablet support got better automatically. So it's always a nice kind of side effect of making user interface accessible, usually makes it work better on all platforms.
Great questions, and keep them coming. I might just switch gears a little bit and talk a bit about how we see the future moving forward on this and how you can get access to it. But please keep the questions coming and we'll answer them. We have some time, so we're glad to answer more questions. Great. Let's see here. So first, just one bit of logistics, just from your perspective. If this looks like something you'd like to try, you now have access to the performant instance of this platform. That is our intention, is to give out access to the performant instance so that you can work with this and try it out with your own students, with your own documents on a limited time basis. We haven't sort of said exactly how much time, but what I would say is you have our email addresses. If you think you'd like to actually use this and be able to rely on that account that we've created for you, just drop us an email and we will make sure to not remove your account for some period of time, and we'd be pretty open to letting you use it for an extended period. So that's the first kind of answer to how can I use this. Feel free to use it and just let me know if you want to continue to use it for some period of time. Beyond kind of a trial period where you really want to be able to rely on your data, your users, being able to create projects, we have a couple of options. One would be certainly that you can self-host it, as I mentioned at the beginning of the hour, a couple hours. You can go to recogitostudio.org and there is a link to self-hosting information there. It's non-trivial, so I wouldn't say it's something that just anyone should be able to or should expect to find easy to do. It does involve some heavy lifting from an IT perspective, but it is possible, so that's certainly one option. Another option is that we are offering this as a sort of turnkey hosted service. So for a sort of modest subscription fee, you'd have access either to a complete instance like the one that you're logged into now, that's integrated with your university's IDP, and you can have as many users and documents and projects as you want. Or if you're just an individual instructor, we can also give you a kind of one project subscription on our instance that will be reliable, supported, maintained, and you'll have someone to call if you come across bugs. So lots of different ways to go. Hopefully that website makes those clear, but feel free to reach out if there's anything we can do to support you. Beyond that, as I mentioned, also we're really open to and interested in collaboration. So if you say, hey, we really need LTI, or we really need to do it, if this were accessible, we could implement it internally, reach out and we'd be glad to talk with you about how to get to those features built that you want to have built. So features that are on the way. There are already several collaborator projects that are underway that have not yet completed, but I just thought I'd mention some of those projects and what they are promising to bring. One is really focused on art historians and teaching of art history. That's going to allow people to create their own collections or to use a set of kind of vetted IIIF manifest collections that are reliable. So that's coming very soon. We're working with a group at Exeter and Duke right now to build a plugin that will add Getty AAT tagging support, semantic tagging support. In addition to that geotagging plugin you saw, this would allow you to tag annotations with controlled vocabularies, not just Getty AAT, but eventually others as well. I think of others that we haven't mentioned. Anything else, Anahid, that you can think of that is currently in development or funded?
Just the viewer that I was telling you about being able to see the TEI stuff. So, basically having this sort of publication pathway. And then, I mean, features are always being updated. So even things like being able to rearrange materials on the dashboard or being able to organize them yourselves. So there are a lot of like smaller improvements coming. So you, instead of just having these three tabs of like my projects, shared with me, public projects, you could create your own tab so that you can organize your projects as you wish, and a few other like just kind of like quality of life improvements like that, being able to drag and drop the different things to reorganize stuff. So some of these are kind of like smaller UX sorts of improvements and features, and then others are kind of larger, thinking about very specifically, like we want to make this more accessible to art historians, for example, and what do we need to do to support this kind of pedagogy.
Yeah, great point. Thank you for reminding me of that. I'll show you just quickly. So I'm inside of a project here I've created. I'm on the project dashboard rather. Here's my project. If I go to documents and I go to add, so you see here we've got tabs that allow us to select from all documents in this system, my documents. We already have the ability to create a third tab here for a hosted corpus of TEI texts, and we're going to be adding another one for a hosted collection of IIIF manifests. So that's the kind of thing we're adding in soon. Yes, Vanessa raised her hand. Go ahead, please, Vanessa.
Yeah, I think you covered this and I missed it or didn't quite follow, but can you explain again how, like, can you embed this once you've, a class has annotated something? Yeah, is this the kind of thing you can embed one of these on a different website?
Great question. It really is more of a freestanding thing. I mean, I think what you would probably do is you would link to it. I'm not sure if that's sort of how you'd want to do it, but I think embedding, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the things that LTI makes easy, especially within an LMS. Maybe you're talking about a different kind of embedding though. Would you say a little more about how where you'd like to embed it?
I think actually, Jamie, this is getting into the Omeka style, if you want to create a gallery and be able to post it on a different website. Is that kind of what you're thinking about because you're working from collections? So that is actually something that we're working on trying to get funded. So it's something that is kind of like not on the roadmap yet, but like something that we're working on trying to be able to do. And this is getting into what Jamie was saying about being able to create, like if you do some annotations, being able to do a derivative manifest that you could then put into a player. Like Mirador or something like that, or Theseus, which Jamie was just saying was a new player that came out. But being able to create a collection So a collection of manifests where you have a group of annotated manifests that you could then put into a viewer or something like that. We're not there yet. It is something that we would like to do. And we're trying to get there.
Or even, I mean, I've seen other tools where it's like you do all your work, in this kind of tool, and then there's like an option where then you get a URL available or something, within there that then you can put and embed. But yeah, but this is more designed, it sounds like, for like the collaboration and classroom use, right? As opposed to like being used outside of,
So I'll say that we're further along with the text annotation because that's where we started. So we have that whole, like, you can do we're kind of building out that publication pathway for texts right now. And we'd like to do the similar path with IIIF images. We're just kind of like a step behind there. We've kind of got the textual stuff happening, and now we're working on building out the IIIF tools a bit more.
Yeah, so thanks for that clarification. I think I understand better. You certainly can, as of now, export a TEI file with its annotations embedded, and you could take that with you and do things with it. In fact, we are building a viewer that, as Anandita mentioned, would operate on that exported TEI. We want to do the same with IIIF. I think that would make sense. PDF already can be exported. Yeah, and presumably inside your environment, you can contend with those questions of privacy and permissions and so on. Yeah, that's a good question. Other questions? Well, by all means, please feel free to reach out. As we mentioned, I think you have our email addresses. Don't hesitate. Feel free. We would love to chat with you about this or anything else you've got going on. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you taking the couple of hours to learn a bit more about this platform. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your IIIF online meeting week. Reiner, Anandita, anything else?
No, thank you for watching. And yeah, also, if you run into bugs as the developer with my developer hat on, definitely do get in touch with me. There's also a GitHub page if you're a GitHub user. So we're really very grateful for any kinds of bug reports.
Terrific.
Great,
and if you have
you.
additional questions, I see some more questions still popping up. Like, we're happy to hang out and answer more questions if you have them, but we're basically done with the formal presentation. So if you want to head out, you are welcome to head out as well. But we can stick around and chat for a little bit longer if you want to ask us questions directly.
Absolutely.
So thank you for participating. Thanks for coming. Achno, we see a question from you.
Yeah, just to thanks a lot, everybody. I didn't unmute my micro because I'm really bad in English, but it was really interesting for me to test it. We already test Recogito by ourselves in a university. I work in France. And so we've got for several years a project in historical works, biotapestry.
Yes, wonderful.
We work on the digital version of the biotapestry. So we've got huge images in IIIF and a lot of creative annotations for thousands and thousands. And so we also have working place to annotate images, but we dream about a system like Recogito because for now students start working on the same piece of work than the teachers, and your system is ready to do that. So we think about using our manifest and import them into your system to test everything. You made everything. We just used for our needed different kind of annotation. I mean geometry. We use point, and we use pads with pencils to draw every alteration in the wool and the tissue. So we had different problems, but you already have a lot of amazing things. So we will test your system. Maybe we will host by ourselves in university the system because of a lot of things. And we love to test. We are also developers, so we have to test everything and make feedbacks also. And and so that's why I talk about testing with a lot of annotation, because we've got a lot of things to import with testing in different ways between the manifest, or including putting the annotations already in your database. Maybe could be simpler, but in read-only way, it could be enough for us.
Okay.
But we can make you some feedbacks with these kinds of things. And the tapestry is very huge image. You know,
Yes.
the main, I think the main size is between 500,000 pixels.
Wow.
The image is
Reiner, technical challenge for you.
It's too long. So when you click on an annotation, you go back from the start from the end. It's really difficult to present it. So we can have a good test for you and your system.
That's great. That's great. Reiner, you're familiar with the
Sorry, Jimmy.
I was going to say, Reiner, you are familiar with the Bayeux tapestry, right? It's very wide. It's this,
Yeah.
this incredibly, okay.
Yeah,
it's
that's
amazing.
the main problem. And that's why I talk about ordering annotations, because we think about lectures or a way to view annotation, and when you put some jump to a place from another between some scene, there are things in the Bayeux tapestry. So we always have to go from a person to another, or an animal, and everything. So we know researcher wants to go to a place and then another and then everything. So they want to have a plane between their annotations. That's why I ask you, is there the way to order annotations? I see everything is already well presented, but I know people ask every time something different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Reiner, did you
it
want
sounds
to
like an
respond
interesting
to-
use case. It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So
Well,
maybe
Arnaud was asking,
maybe one day if I was able to import everything in the Recogito, I will invited you to show how it presents, because there's sometimes it's difficult to see where there's so many annotations in every screen. It's really hard for the browser to with the memory to present every geometry, because you can have hundreds geometry in just in a viewport. So it's really hard for the browser. You have to just make some queries to limit the answer, because you have too many things to present on the screen.
Right, sort of paginating. Yeah.
Yeah, paginating and also make some geometrical queries with PostgreSQL and PostGIS.
Yeah, sure. That's an interesting idea. And so this is based on Postgres. It's certainly possible to, I think we have available the PostGIS extension on the platform we deploy this on. So yeah, it's certainly possible to, although then the question is, are we doing spatial queries? I mean, there's no lat long in these images, right? So we'd have to be doing more X,
No.
Y queries. Yeah.
We made a projection of the biotapestry
see.
in a normal there's no lat long, but like GIS, we use the same tricks, and normally it should works, but we always have Postgres plugin into PostgreSQL, so you don't need it. I think so. For you.
Yeah.
So I guess how many annotations do you roughly have?
Oh,
What of the
I never count. About
just that dimension.
Yeah, I think for the last creative campaign, it was about more than 20,000 annotations on one image.
Yeah, I think that might
Wow.
still just about work. I mean, it depends on the geometry, but I've been using the kind of the engine, the rendering engine that we're using. I have used it on annotated maps where you have every label, and I think we were basically getting up to 80,000, and that still worked. I mean, it's also a matter of what else is going on in the user interface. But yeah, I mean, as the way it sounds is you're treating it like a map, and then you can use this kind of level of detail, which is, that's the next step then.
We use
Exactly.
open layers.
Yeah, exactly. As
we try to use a
probably.
leaflet first time, and then open layers.
Yeah.
So that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to be interesting. I'd like to test
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. If I manage to do it, I will send you some invitation.
Excellent.
Great.
That would be great. I'm sending you some ways to contact us here, I don't know, in the chat, but hopefully if you just go to recogitostudio.org, that has those links on it, and you have our email addresses. So by all means, feel free to be in touch. And then there's Reiner at reinerhyman.io and Anandita. Yeah.
I already took your email addresses.
Okay, good. Yeah, we'd love
Thanks
to work with you on this. It sounds fascinating, and we're happy to support your use. So, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Great. Jamie's also fluent in French, so if you need a French speaker, you can also do it in a different language.
Ouais, c'est vrai.
Oh, you speak French? Oh, you came from UK, Jamie?
No, I'm American, but I studied French in college and then spent a lot of time in France and in French West Africa. So, yeah, lucky to get to use my language sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Reiner is in Austria, so we are both European and American. Yeah.
Yeah, I really have an idea about the accent. Sorry, my English is really bad, but yeah.
No, it's fine. It's great.
Okay.
Well, thank you again, Arnaud.
Yeah, thank you for giving your time a little bit more.
Sure, happy to do it.
I was really enjoying participating, and thanks to Kathleen because I didn't have any place. I was too late to register, so she gave me a special ticket to be here today. So I was pleased to be here, and thanks a lot for everything and for the workshop.
Pleasure is ours. Thank you, Arnaud, and bonne journée et à la prochaine.
Merci.
Thank you.
Au revoir.
Bonne journée.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.